out. So I think it's unfair for people to be saying, I did not people, assuming but not conceding that the APC and the president were involved, we are involved in some of the crises that are going on in other parties. Are those people not human beings? Didn't he demonstrate in 2015? Was he cowed? Was he not intimidated, harassed, blackmailed? But he stood his ground. Yes, Buhari has a large, massive cult followership. He still has it today in the country. But he needed that organizer, that person that could bring the bloc vote from the southern part of the country, and also the strategy to be able to bring the country all together, unite the opposition under one umbrella. And that was why we were able to bring down Goodluck Jonathan. And he was doing it everywhere. He was in the National Assembly, got us, make sure that he negotiated with us. When they took us to court, got us lawyers, everything. He was everywhere. So sometimes I used to say, if you want to defeat Tinubu, go and take lectures from Tinubu. Well, and you know it is impossible because he's not going to tell you how to defeat him.
Yeah, indeed. He has some tricks up his sleeves.
Yes.
You talked about the Buhari bloc vote, and people are saying, that vote right now is up for grabs. But is it really up for grabs, or would you say they have all been subsumed or merged with the Bola Tinubu politics or Bola Tinubu political clan? And did he really inherit the bloc vote that Buhari had over the years?
Where we've always been one. I don't even want to talk about Buhari. Even the entirety of the North that followed Buhari for years, it will be the biggest betrayal in the political history of the world not to support Tinubu. Because President Tinubu supported Buhari to emerge against some people that you can call his friends, his personal friends. We don't want to go into that history. He supported him. In 2019, what happened in the first 4 years happened. We're not going into that. By 2019, again, he was approached. He took over the campaign, supported him again. But I will tell you something. Buhari is late, but Buhari is a decent man. The last statement of Buhari, he said, I would always like to be identified with the APC. If Buhari were to be alive, Buhari is not chaotic. In fact, Buhari would have been the first to endorse Tinubu. But let's even put that aside. The party is one. You can see people like Farouk Adamu and the rest. They're all there. So we're there. Are we also not Buhari? We are all Buhari.
Yeah, because you're from the north, and Kano State with the largest voting population in northern Nigeria. But we hear people saying that the north will not vote for Tinubu in 2027. These people saying this, do they really speak for the north? And indeed, the question is, who speaks for the north? When they say the north will not vote for President Bola Tinubu, is that a reflection of the people in northern Nigeria?
I've had that conversation severally with people, and recently when I had a series of rallies in Kano and the rest, I made that comment. And I don't even like people calling that sentiment. It is not sentiment, it is propaganda. And the fact is that there's nothing hidden. There's a heavy propaganda going on in the north that Tinubu doesn't like the north and northerners. And you see, facts does not support that assertion completely. I tell you this, it is based on two foundations. One, they said President Tinubu has edged out the north in appointments. Number two, they said President Tinubu did not show interest in pushing projects to the north. You see, because the level of education in the northern part of the country, comparatively to, when you compare to the southern part of the country, it's lower. So it's easy to manipulate
and weaponize
people. Let's take the issue of appointment, for instance. Even before going into appointment, take the history of Tinubu. He has demonstrated love for the north and love for northerners. From when, as a young man, he was supporting King Jibrin and Abirola, down to this 8 years he spent as governor, he spent it planning how to bring this country together, bring opposition to take over power. When eventually that happened, what did he do? He agreed to hand it over to a northerner. 2007, he provided a platform and gave it to who? A northerner. 2011, he provided a platform and gave it to who? A northerner. 2015, he contributed with others, and his contribution is profound. Nobody denies his contribution in 2015. Handed it over to a northerner. Today, I don't want to repeat what he said in the speeches because I've always known that, and I've always said it. That's why I said it's one of the best speeches he has ever delivered. Some of his confidants, some of his best friends, he mentioned them in that speech. Senator Abu Ibrahim, Ibrahim Masari, Bello Masari, the Gandujes of this world. All of them, the Nuhu Ribadu. In fact, there are some that you don't hear them. They don't hold appointments. But these are people that even can go into his bedroom. So we know, look, let me even, maybe I apologize to the guy, let me mention his name. This is Mahmouda. We call him in Kano Dalaraba, one of the closest confidant of the president. Then you go to his personal staff. It depends on just how you look at it. And people are just being manipulated. His chief personal security officer, he doesn't like the North, and he will take a young man from Kaduna State, Shugawa, and put there. His PLO, who tells him go left, go right. Musa Yakub from Nasarawa State. Yeah. One of his key media aide doing a fantastic job in the government is from Kano, Abdulaziz. Yeah. These are inner cycle. Now, take it to the issue of appointments. There's so much issue about, finance, they've taken it to the south, a lot of talking and the rest. Look at the facts. When you go to the economy, 3 structures are there. Finance, which deals with revenue and fiscal matters. Budget, expenditure. The central bank, monetary policies. Look at the appointments. Finance, he took it to the south. If you give me revenue and expenditure, I was chairman of finance, I was chairman of appropriations. I will take appropriations. Then expenditure, he put it in the hand of Northerner, Minister of Budget and National Planning. That's a good. Then people will talk about, the young man that is doing fantastic job in the Nigerian Revenue Services, Zach. Everybody's talking about that. They've given it to the southern part of the country. The president did something. Then he took the DG Budget Office and gave it to a Northerner, competent guy, erudite intellectual, Tanimu Yakubu. Balanced. So when people talk, they are not looking at the fact. Central Bank, yes, you have a governor of Central Bank. Well, you have deputy governors who are all from the north. Then the president sat down and said, look, what are Northerners complaining? Okay, education, right? Agriculture, right? Security, right? Health, right? Works and infrastructure, right? So he said, okay, fine. Agriculture, I give you people Northerner. And I'll give you people all the support. I'm in the National Assembly, and I know the budget of Agric. And even when it comes to the National Assembly, we know how much we add, and he does not complain. He approves the budget the way it goes. He puts in Kyari there. He puts in Senator Abdullahi there, Northerners. You think he doesn't know why he did that? You think he wouldn't have brought somebody from the south and put there? Then the health. He puts Professor Party there. In education, brought in Professor Suwaiba and make her Minister of State. Then gave the southern part of the country works and gave the northern part of the country housing, but gave the North Minister of State works. Then gave Northerner again, not Southerner. After giving us housing, gave a Northerner again Minister of State housing. Water, state. He brought it to us in the north. Then when you go to MDAs, they would say everybody will focus, NNPC, and the rest. When you talk about the major MDAs, you talk about NNPC, you talk about NCC, you talk about MPA, you talk about NIMASA, etc. NNPC, okay, south, right? NCC, where? North, Katsina, Maida, young Northerner. He's the one heading NCC, massive. They are not telling them down there. And sometimes, you know what, Femi, I blame the appointees.
I was going to come there.
Please let me land. This matter is so passionate to me.
Go ahead.
Let me land. Sometimes I blame the appointees, because once you are a political appointee, you do not have to get involved in every politics, but you have the responsibility to defend the government and to correct what is false. MIDA is there. MPA, which is key, is to the north. Nimasa to the south. But you have many northerners. You have Khalid in Naseni, you have the professor in PTDF, many organizations. NMPC again, upstream, the chunk of the players in the upstream are southerners. You get me to the south, southerner. Downstream, a lot of northerners are players in the oil and gas and the downstream oil and gas sector. It's a northerner that is the executive chairman there. So you see, sometimes when I hear these things, I just completely don't understand. That takes us to project. Please be patient with me. This is very important to clarify this issue. When you talk about projects, when the president came on board, he inherited projects from the previous administration. Tell me one of those major projects that he did not continue. Abuja, Kaduna, Kano. Kano, Katsina. Kano, Maiduguri. Abuja, Kefi, Lafia, Makodi. Zaria, Gusau, and a host of others. Now you will hear somebody say, oh, the president has not completed Abuja, Kano. With due respect to the last 8 years, somebody was there for 8 years, and we are not complaining. We are fine. Even the president came out himself and said, what is his is mine. What is mine is his. For 8 years, it has not been completed. Then somebody came. First, he had to sit down to look at it and say, these things have been inflated. Let's redo it. Lot of money saved and invested into better things to do. The projects are all being implemented and being supervised. Then he didn't stop at that. He went into new project. People are talking Sokoto Badagry. It's been in the pipeline for about 40 years, not implemented. Wait until Sokoto Badagry gets completed. When they start seeing trailers moving from the largest food market that are now in Kano, going straight to Cotonou, to Senegal, to Benin Republic, and the rest. Free flow of traffic, the value of land along that area, the linkages that many towns and cities are going to make, bringing them all the way to the highways, agricultural farms that are now going to have access to push their product on. That is when people would realize, you know something, I relate with the president from a very close range. And what I fully know about him is that he is a big player. When he plays big. So he's a fan of mega projects. But I tell you something about human beings. If the president had been investing in little petty roads, they would say, oh, look at China and America. They are building transatlantic road. The president is busy. Now that he wants to take us to be like the China and the rest. Some people are complaining. There's just one fact in this world. If somebody wants to criticize you, or he has become like an enemy, no matter what you do, he will always criticize you. Quickly, let me also just add to you. In terms of power, in terms of power, there's a massive power grid in Bichi, almost completed. The Dawano market that I'm telling you, it is the largest food market in West Africa. They've started another grid there. Then why are people not talking about Saleh Mama? The dam.
Mambila.
The Mambila that we are talking about, that Northerners, we want Mambila. Why are we not attacking the issue of Saleh Mama? The president inherited a situation, inherited mess. Now we've come to realize that money that we're even given to resolve the problem of Mambila, for us to be able to make progress on Mambila, was stolen by a Northerner, our Northern brother. And he's been arrested. In fact, the president should be commended, because that is stage one. At least an attempt to see what we can even recover from that money and let